Here's the theory. Here's the quick and dirty kind of sketch of an important piece here. And it goes something like this, that the light of Purusha, the light of the conscious principle, um, perennially shines equally for all, equally for all. It's something like the sun. And imagine like a gorgeous, it's a little hard this time of year, but imagine, a gorgeous sunny day, and there's a bunch of cups set out in the yard or your porch or your favorite little go-to spot. And in these cups, there's water. And the water reflects the light of the sun as it comes into each of the cups equally, right? And our individuated experience of consciousness, or what I call on an individual scale, I like to call that awareness, make a distinction between pure consciousness and awareness. The light of the sun shines equally in each of these little awareness cups. And um, that's our particular experience of this kind of universal origin, right? And then it's kind of wrapped in our particular personality and so forth. And that's where I want to go into a little bit more detail here and present a teaching that comes from the Yoga Sutras or Patanjali some 2000 years ago called the five kleshas or the five afflictions. And this, it names a number of features about each of these individual cups, the individuated psyche, tendencies within the individuated psyche that have us suffer, that they're the source of our kind of distress or malaise in at any particular moment. Okay. And so they're called kleshas or afflictions. And we may think, I certainly do at times, that, it's some outer circumstance that has us suffer, like taxes, or if my husband would only take the trash out on time, or, the government, or think that our suffering is kind of beamed at us. And what this model proposes is that these psychological, like if you take a closer look, if you slow down the tape and you do a little, and you play it back frame by frame, what you'll see is one of these, or a combination of these particular five features. Okay. And the first is the biggest of the one. It's the taproot of them. It's called avidya. Avidya. And vidya, the good news is that it has a kind of endearing aspect embedded in it. Vidya means knowledge, right? Vidya. But we have this pesky little A in front of the vidya word, which is something like non or un in English, or not, means not knowledge or not knowing, not knowing, not knowing. What is it that we may not be knowing? That is what's not being known is, to go back to our prior metaphor, that our original origin is the sun. That we're not the particular mind complex or mind body complex that is receiving the light of the sun. That is a transitory identity. That is a transitory existence. But that our fundamental nature is much like that of the perennially shining sun. In other words, we have a kind of soul or spiritual essence that is at the operative core of this whole process. And to confuse the reflection, get that word, the reflection of the light of Purusha within the mindscape that illuminates it. Hello, we're here, right? But that's not the mind is not self-luminous. I'll say it again. The mind is not self-luminous. It reflects the original light of Purusha, right? Imagine you're in a little, like hunkered down in a little bunker, right? And the only light that you see is like coming from a hole in the ceiling. And one day you kind of go up there and you kind of start poking at that light and you realize that it's actually not a light bulb as it would seem. It's just a mirror. It's a mirror that's reflecting light from the other way. And the sun and the moon are like kind of exemplary of this. And in yoga tradition, they regard the moon as iconic representation slash informing force of the mind, because it changes and it receives its light from the sun. It's not the moon is not self-luminous. Okay. So avidya is mistaking the reflection of awareness within the mindscape for its primal origin or source. Okay. So that's like affliction number one. And number two is, and this is kind of a big one, is the asmita, or the egoic sense. And I talked a little bit about this last week, right? The presumption that I'm over here, the central player, central and separate player in the plot of existence, having its own independent reality, bordered by, outer circumstances that either support the things that I want to believe or don't support the things I want to believe. And then this removed egoic sense is the second sort of feature in the mindscape that has us. Anyone suffer on account of your ego before? Yeah. Has that ever happened? Maybe once or twice, right? Like every day, perhaps, right? So, that's a pretty big player in the psyche. And it's so close to home, it's hard to imagine an existence without that, you know, prevalent sense, appearance of separation. And the last three, I'll just kind of buzz past: raga, dvesha, abhinivesha. So raga is, it literally means to color. The root word means to color. So it's more commonly translated as attraction. Like we color, like rose-colored glasses that have us go, oh, wonderful thing over here. And then there's a converse pair. Maybe this is a maroon pair of glasses, I don't know, called dvesha, or aversion, right? Which is, get this, it's negative attachment. Negative attachment. It's still attachment, but it's in the form of aversion, right? And then abhinivesha is clinging to life, or fear of death, which is, deeply, deeply rooted in the psyche and informs many of our choices throughout the day. Okay. So that's quick pass of the five kleshas, or primary afflictions that kind of distort our access, or access, good word, to the unveiled light of Purusha. All right.